Hi folks, how are we doing? Hope you're well. We are week 3 in season 3. Lots of 3s in there in 2024, so that ruins it a little bit. But hey ho, we are at the Redbull ring in the Super Formula Lights. It is a fantastic circuit in the dry. The last corner is particularly tricky, even in the dry, which I was very shocked about, and it did catch me out a number of times. But there is also a wet session as well. So yeah, let's crack on with the guide. Right then, yes, the Redbull ring, as mentioned, is a fantastic little circuit. I think the lap times are going to be very, very close. Redbull ring is normally close racing. Number one, it's got slipstream, and number two, technically there aren't that many corners, and normally the difference between most people is how they enter and exit the corners. The straight, the car does what it does. You know, if you get out the corner a bit better, you're carrying that speed down the straight, but generally the straight, people can't make up that much time. It's all based on the corners. As there aren't many corners around here, technically this could be very, very close racing. We all know how strong the old slipstream is in this old Bandit, so could be an interesting race. Could be lots of crashes, particularly at a few corners, which I will point out are very, very easy to spin and face the wrong way. Ask me how I know, because I've done it several times. But yes, up the hill to this beautiful turn 3, because apparently the kink down there is turn 2. Why, I have no idea. But yeah, I'll point out all the bits of you that you need on the track and point out all the braking markers, and also watch out for some certain areas that will face the wrong way. These are the 2 sessions that I use. So I use fixed weather, basically to make sure the weather stays consistent across the entire session, and then I go around and do some laps and try and pick a decent lap for you so you can hopefully learn from it and gain a few tenths, if not a little bit more, so you can enjoy the races a lot more, and a lot more competitive fields are created. That is the goal of these guides. Anywho, talking about the weather, oh yes, this is the track guide that includes a dry and a wet lap, so this could be used for future seasons, so you know roughly where the lines are and the wet lines and things like that, so hopefully you can get up to speed a little bit quicker. This in the wet is not too bad for most of the lap, and then there are 2 corners towards the end which are terribly dangerous, so I will point them out in the wet as well. What we'll do is we'll do a slowdown lap in the dry, and then we'll do a slowdown lap in the wet, so you can see exactly what I'm doing and hopefully trying to stay on the circuit. But basically, in a nutshell, wet weather driving is try and stay off the racing line as best you can and be very gentle on the inputs. Also, I forgot to mention, on the dry lap, look at the lap time at the end of the lap. I was very impressed with it. That's another reason why I chose that lap, because the lap time number is very, very cool. Never done that before, I don't think, in my iRacing career, but yeah, I think that's a very, very cool lap time. Otherwise, I think that's enough me waffling. Like and subscribe, I love your YouTube stuff, and let's crack on with the dry lap first. Right then, are you ready for the slipstream fest that is the Redbull ring? And in a nutshell, I wouldn't worry about getting overtaken around here, because the slipstream is so powerful, it only matters when you cross the line on the last lap. So please bear that in mind when you are battling. Anyway, turn 1, we're braking just before the 50 marker, probably about halfway between the 50 and the 100, and we're braking, turning in nicely. Get on throttle as early as you can, get as close to the yellow curb as you can on the apex, and be careful about the one on exit, because you can bottom out the car. If you do go over the other side of that yellow sausage curb, there is a slowdown as well, which really ruins your lap time, because you need to maximize the exit at turn 1 because of this long straight. But saying that, the slipstream is huge, so probably wouldn't too worry if you do get overtaken down here. 100 for the braking point here. Again, we're sort of similar to turn 1, probably about halfway between the 100 and the 50. Brake very heavy in a straight line. Don't cut the entry curb too much, because there's an off track over there. And again, don't cut the apex curb too much, because there's a horrible bump there. Same principle with the yellow sausage curb on the exit. Don't straddle it, because it is huge and humongous, and it will ruin your lap. Another opportunity for another good overtake and a dive bomb down into turn 4, which will happen, so bear that in mind. This corner has a tendency to understeer, so if someone does get on your inside, just be cautious of them pumping you in the side pod. We're braking about this point, probably before the advertising marker bridgey thingy. Braking a nice straight line again down the curb. Be careful of running too much on the entry curb. There's an off track, and do not cut this curb. You will bottom out the car and lose a little bit of acceleration. And don't run too far wide, because there was another silly off track out there as well. Bring the car back to the right hand side of the circuit, because we've got a double left hander now with the magical ball icon thing that's at this circuit. I don't know what it's called, prancing ball, I suppose. That'll be a thing. 50-meter marker again. We're just braking slightly before it, but brake down the curb again. Same principle. There's an off track on entry, so be cautious. Let the car coast into the corner quite nicely. Try and be neutral on throttle and braking on the way through there. Get a late apex and nail the throttle as soon as you know you're going to get to this point. Any wider than that and it will be an off track. This corner is just a slight fade of the brake just as you come off the entry curb. Little tickle of the apex curb, but make sure you get on full throttle as early as you can. You can cut this a little bit, but try and keep some tyres on the old red and white curbing. Any wider and it will be an off track. Let the car drift out nicely and gradually out to there just to keep up the maximum speed in a straight line. Keep it on the left-hand side. For the two tricky last corners, off-tracks and slowdowns are here in plentiful numbers, so bear that in mind. 50 marker, turn in and then brake gradually as you turn in. Keep a little bit on throttle to keep the rear end in check. We are rear limited coming through that corner. We're down into 5th gear, then we're down into 4th gear as we brake for this corner, just at the end of the white paint on the left-hand side. Little clip of the apex curb. Again, get close to the yellow sausage curb, but not too close because it will send you out wide. And you can take an awful lot of curb there, but again, if you go too far wide, it will be an off track and a slowdown. Much pain if you do get that, because it will ruin both your laps. Basically, this is all about trying to maximize your exits on some of the corners without getting off tracks or slowdowns. Also, look at the lap time is why I'm pausing on this screen a lot. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Haven't done that before. Right then, wet weather time, and this is another kettle of fish. So this week, I think, has a chance of rain. I'll put it on the screen if I'm right or wrong. I can't remember, but I think there's 3 weeks in the fix that I actually have rain scheduled. So if it doesn't, this will be for the future references for you going in for a few more seasons. But we're braking massively early, just after the 100-meter board. Brake nice and gradually, go to the racing line, and then turn in as best you can. I do turn in on the racing line because you need to get the apex speed through there, and going out wide, I just think is a real nasty surprise going out there, because you end up on more on curb on the exit, which gives you much more slippery situations out there, put it that way. So I find the racing line through there is fine as long as you get the speed off before you start turning in. The straight line here is a straight line, so that's fine, and you want to brake in the middle of the circuit about turn 1 again after the 100-meter marker, and you want to brake diagonally across to sort of the left-hand side of the corner here. You can turn in relatively late on this one, so you go slow enough that the tires don't matter, but again, I do miss the curbing because the curbing is like ice when it's rainy, and I try and stay far away from it on exit. Try and get most of the rotation on the little camber of that curb, and you should be absolutely fine. Accelerating out that corner can be a little bit tricky because you're in first gear, so it can tendency to wheel spin, so just be nice and smooth on the application and you should be absolutely fine. Also minimize your steering angle if you are on power. Keep it to the middle of the circuit. Now we're braking downhill, so we are braking very early, just at the 100-meter marker. Brake nice and gradually. Again, do the same principle. Make sure you go deep into the corner and miss the apex side, because that's the rubbery side of the circuit. You see I'm giving it a good cars whip there on the inside, a little bit slidey as we cross the rubberized line, but stay away from the exit curb there on the left hand side and you should be absolutely golden. Now this next corner is a little bit interesting because of the wet line. So we want to brake it into the middle of the circuit and do the same thing we've been doing all season with these guides, is brake off the racing line and then join it and cross it and then go to the outside. All the way around the outside here was the best way. I found there was a lot of grip out here. As long as you stayed off the racing line, you were actually fine, and then cut back and cross it and hope for the best. You look at my throttle input, I'm very gentle on the steering and things like that, even though I am full throttle. Again, brake nice and deep into the corner, go all the way around the outside. There is a few little puddles there on the apex of the curb there. You just saw them as you go past on the left, so you want to avoid them as best you can, and you want to avoid this curb as well because you will spin out. If you do touch the curb, try and keep the car as gentle as possible and just gentle little inputs on the throttle and steering, and you should still be fine if you want to run the curb, but avoid it as you can because it is dangerous. These two last corners are horrible in the wet. I did not like it one bit. So we're just before the 50 marker and we're braking again all the way out to the corner and we're gently tickling it into the corner. We are on the race line. You see I get a little bit of a four-wheel drift going on there, and this is why this is dangerous. We want to keep the speed up, but also we don't want to lose anything. So same principle as a braking marker in the dry, but we're braking a lot more, and we're missing that apex curb. This corner was horrendous for spinning. If you got too close to the apex, there was a dip there and you spun out. If you missed it and went wide, you got the exit curb and you spin out and hit the pit wall on the right hand side. Horrific. Good luck out there if it is raining in future seasons. It's not my favorite cup of tea, this one, but yeah, good luck out there. Right then, both laps done and dusted, and fingers crossed this has helped you out immensely, and I hope you gain some more time by watching this guide. Let me know in the comments if you do gain some time. It's always nice to hear how much you gained or how much you didn't gain, or what you did learn or what you didn't learn. And if you got any more pointers for anyone else, put it in the comments as well, because my view on racing, on iRacing, is if everyone's of a similar pace, the racing is going to be improved immensely, and if everyone can keep it on the circuit as well, we'll all have fun and get to the checkered flag. Because to finish first you have to finish. Definitely a motto of this channel as best I can. Watch that curb, it's very dangerous. Otherwise, yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.